Assay test failure. Not on my gold. Gosh, definitely not. But these silver spoons, they've recently failed an assay test. We got a horrible call from the assay office to say they are not pure silver. Plated is what they are. Fortunately, they're not mine. I sent them in on behalf of someone else to have tested, but fakes are out there. Whether you're bric-a-bracking in charity shops to try and find deals, or whether you're importing stuff from other countries and they say it's sterling silver, but actually this one failed the assay test as well, substandard, or whether you're just buying lovely bits of artwork like poured silver, you need to make sure that what you're getting, make sure that those shiny things are indeed shiny and valuable and real. So important, because one small fake can cost you dearly. Hello everybody, Backyard Bullion here, and a very warm welcome to you all joining me for another Precious Metal Ramble, where we have down-to-earth discussions about all things precious and shiny. And you do want to make sure that these precious and shiny things that you buy are indeed precious and shiny, because there's nothing worse than finding out that your hard-earned money has gone into something that is fake. And we found out that the hard way this week with an assay failure report. This is what this document here is in the background. Thank goodness it's not for my gold bars, which are fresh back, hallmarked from the assay office, but indeed these spoons, which somebody sent to me to have hallmarked on their behalf, they failed. And this tankard as well that they had, substandard sterling silver. So a really interesting situation for them, and I thought it would be really interesting for you guys to share what happens, because I've had assay failures on my silver before, my poured silver. I've had a failure in the past whereby the marks were not able to be put on. It was substandard, rejected, and that was absolutely horrible. And of course, as a retailer, it's very important to make sure that what I'm selling is genuine, which is why I hallmark everything. So we'll talk more about hallmarking, the process of the failure there, and what we can do to protect ourselves both as consumers when we're buying stuff, to make sure that when we're buying stuff, we know it's genuine. If it's odd things like poured silver, the Sigmas are not great at testing those kind of products. So having hallmarked bits is super important. Also, we'll talk about the Sigma generally and how good that is as a piece of kit for other bits of silver out there that you can protect yourself when buying. So a lot to get through. Love to know your thoughts and opinions on this subject down in the comment section, because fakes are out there, and they are out there all the time. And it's really quite scary how many there are out there, especially when you're maybe trying to find good deals and something is priced well, but not too good to maybe raise all the alarm bells. That's when things can get a little bit suspect. So make sure you protect yourself. And oh, by the way, don't forget to hit the thumbs up and subscribe, because if we get to 100,000 subscribers before my 10-year anniversary in July, I'm going to give away this 1 kilo elemental sphere. Oh, sphere, it's not an elemental sphere, it's an elemental cube. We're going to give it away, 1 kilo of silver. I'm going to stamp all of our YouTube stats on it. It's going to be an event for sure. So make sure you subscribe. Okay, let's get started. So, assay failure. Yes, the gentleman who sent me these spoons, he contacted me saying he'd found them in a charity shop. Now, fortunately, he has not paid a large sum of money for them. In fact, I'll tell you, he's paid a very, very small sum of money for them, but he is out of pocket in terms of the assay cost, because even when you have an assay failure, you still pay for the assay charges because they've still done a job. Now, he thought that they were European silver because there's some little marks here. I'm not necessarily sure if they're going to be fully viewable here, but the mark there was supposed to be for like 780 grade silver. So I said to the chap, the lowest grade that the assay office can mark is 800 silver, and he wanted to take a risk on that because he thought that during this time period, German silversmiths were very commonly using 800 silver because it's much easier to work with than like the 780 silver. So we sent them in, and I was not I thought they were silver. I mean, they look silver. They feel silver. They're really heavy. They're dense. It's good. It looks good. But I got a call from the assay office, and they shared with me that they were not real. So you can see here, this is the results. We tested them against 800 silver, XRF, and the base materials is what's coming up there. So they are silver plated rather than even 720 silver, 780 silver. They are plated, so not even genuine articles. What the experts there said, it is quite a thick silver plating, so it will last for a very, very, very long time, but it is not real, as in terms of purity across the entire homogeneity of the piece, so it's just plated. So that sucks. Then came the turn of this tankard, which we originally thought was sterling silver. It's a very nice piece, and it's definitely got some heft to it, but it came up testing as less than pure 925 silver. So originally we submitted this in at 925 silver, and interestingly, whilst the Sigmas are incredible machines, they're not best suited for things like spoons, knives, forks, jewelry, cutlery, that kind of thing. But on big bits of silver, you can get some indications of it, and this is a very important thing. What I'm about to show you on here, we actually need to zoom out a little bit so you can see the screen. Oh, wrong way. So what I'm about to show you here is not anywhere near a definitive test, and please do not use these machines for this. These are incredible for testing coins, but they're not good really for testing things like tankards. Now, if we put this little thing up here to show you on the screen itself, you can just see that that's there in the yellow for the sterling silver. And again, if we put that down on the bottom, again, it's in the yellow. On the sides, it's a bit of a curved surface. You get a fake, sort of almost not perfect reading. But that's all testing as really good, isn't it? That's there in the green, and you'd be thinking, yeah, okay, that's looking all right. But then when you put these up here on the top, it's in the yellow, and that's where the Assay office really comes in to shine, because they were able to test this and make sure that it was indeed sterling, but they came back with the results as substandard. So basically, at some point down the line, someone somewhere has used and has basically just not quite done the alloy right. They've probably used 90% silver or something like that, or they've just done a little bit less. There's no, so this is an American piece, I will say, so there's no original hallmarks on it anyway. There were no requirements for that back then when it was made. It's from like the 1920s, so there's no like major fraud going on here. But if it was sold as sterling silver here in the UK, and you know, if I took this in and sold it in sterling and somebody had this exact experience, I'd be on the hook. I'd be liable, or at least I'd be very morally liable at least. So sorry, I should say here as well, what the Assay office has done is they've put the hallmarks on at 800 silver, because that is at least what the customer wanted. Yes, the purity might be like 90%, so 900 silver, but the Assay office doesn't do a mark for that. So they've guaranteed at least a minimum purity of 800, which is great. So a win for that person. That's added some validity and value to that, because before no hallmarks, that would have been a really awkward thing to sell, but now not so much. So what I want to do as well, whilst we're up here with the Sigma, is just show you that the Sigmas are really good at testing other things. So I've got my little 1 gram gold bars here, and we're just going to showcase them we're going to showcase them in a moment. Well, I'm dropping them everywhere. It's not a backyard bullion video until I drop things. But here we have them, and they are hallmarked. We've got the little laser hallmarks there on the bottom. And what we're going to do is we're going to put this underneath the little wand attachment there. Now, this is a very thin piece, so it's not being able to read the through reading on it, but it is giving a good green reading in the middle. You can also take this little wand attachment and put that on the bar there, and if we showcase it up there, it's nicely in the green, so all good. But where these machines really shine and really fly is with the coins. So if you have a normal coin, we're just going to go up here to do a regular silver coin, which, where did I put them? There they are. You can just put the coins on, and they'll give you a really, really quick, good indication that something is genuine and real. If it's pure silver and it's just a little bit in the yellow, that's okay, because there are different types of pure silver, 999 or 49s. So these machines are really great. If you want to find out more about them, there's a link in the description to Trusty Metrics, the UK's exclusive supplier, and in fact the supplier for Europe as well. So go and check them out. There may be lead times, I will warn you right now, on the ordering of these machines, but they are worth their weight in gold. There are different sizes of machines as well. They've also got the investor model here. Really, really good bits of kit. But they won't mind me saying they are not the best bits of kit when you're testing things like big chunky bits of poured silver or odd shaped bits of poured silver, which is why the hallmarking element is super, super important. Now, I'm going to tell you a little story now of my own example of hallmarking failure. Back in 2000 and I think it was late 2018, I was making a whole bunch of pieces, and in fact, was it 2019? It might have been 2019, and I was making a whole bunch of pieces, and I sent some in for the assay, and I got a failure. There was contamination with lead and bismuth in the silver casting grain that I had purchased. Now, the pieces themselves didn't look different. They didn't look like there was contamination in them, but it was less than pure 999. And we're talking a small margin here. It was sort of underneath the 99% threshold, so it was definitely noticeable. But the pieces themselves, in fact, here's a little unknown super secret thing for you. So if we go to my website, and I've kept this up there for just my own, it's like my own reminder of why things are important to Hallmark. So I'm just going to find it. Now, you have to excuse the really poor optimization, but that bar there, that long bar that you just saw there, that's one of the fakes. Not fakes, but that's one of the less than pure bars. I made that bar. I hammered it out, sent it in for assay testing. It failed. It was one of the less than pure bars. Now, of course, I couldn't sell it. I didn't sell it. I worked it out with my supplier of silver shot at the time, and they very generously took all of the contaminated stuff, replaced it. It was a very, very bad, nerve-wracking time for me. I'm not going to lie to you. I had panic attacks. I was sat there going, I've got £20,000 worth of stock here that's contaminated. What am I going to do? I was having palpitations. I was that worried about it. But to be fair, my supplier was incredible about that. But therein lies the problem. You just don't know, and I didn't know. So from my perspective, when you see people who are not hallmarking, it's a little bit like, come on, guys, we're better than this. We're better than this, and not going to levy any accusations at individuals, but there are plenty out there that don't hallmark because they don't really feel the need to, because they might source all their silver and say it's all Sigma verified. That doesn't mean you can't introduce contaminants from a third source when you're melting. So really, really important. And from a legal perspective as well, there are questionable legal boundaries about selling bits that are decorative art pieces that are not hallmarked here in the UK. I'm not going to go into all of that, but basically, one of the things about hallmarking is that it's a faff. It's an extra cost. These little 1 gram gold bars I have had to send in. That takes money to post them up there. The hallmarking charges themselves on each piece. You're paying individually on them. The postage coming back, of course, because they're gold, you have to separate them into numerous different packages, and that adds extra costs to the manufacturing process, adds extra time to the manufacturing process, which is the big thing. And for any small business, that you want stock in, stock out. It helps de-risk the leverage on gold, silver prices. You want to, I could make one of these today, sell it today, buy the restock today, done, and just make a new one tomorrow. But I can't. I have to send them off for hallmarking, which is 2-3 week turnaround. So it's a pain in the backside. I get it, I know, but you protect your customers, and that's the most important thing. And that's why hallmarking even exists in the UK, because it spans back thousands and thousands of, well, not thousands and thousands, thousands of years. I think the oldest assay office is nearly 1,000 years old, where literally you would take your items to the hall of goldsmiths, where they would look at it, test it, make sure it's genuine, make sure it's real, put their stamp of approval on it, and then you would be able to know within your soul that it is right. And that's even through to today. Don't know if we're going to be able to really show it here, but your wedding ring, if you're married, I hope that, if we can even get it to focus, come on. I would hope that, you can see that mark there. That's the maker's mark, and then I believe there you go, there's the purities mark on the other side. So really important to make sure that what you've got is genuine, and hallmarking is a really, really important thing to do that. And that's why we've been leaning into that for the 9 years that I've been in business. Super, super important. Can't stress how much that is important. So if you are out bric-a-bracking in a charity shop, educate yourself on what hallmarks are. This is like the ask if it's hallmarked, it's your guarantee card. That's the best phrase ever, by the way. If you're buying stuff, ask if it's hallmarked. If you're buying jewelry, ask if it's hallmarked. If you don't know what a hallmark is, learn. This is an easily accessible document. You just Google Hallmark guarantee card or Hallmark dealer's notice, I think these are called. Really, really important. Now, there are some exceptions. If it's silver and it's less than 7.78 grams, it doesn't have to have a hallmark legally, but there are other, I hallmark things smaller than that because I think it's an extra value. And this is the crazy thing, adding value to your silver and or gold, I think adds, like this, for example. Unhallmarked, this would be scrap and 70% of spot price to most dealers. Hallmarked, much better. You're going to get closer to spot price on it. So the cost that this gentleman has incurred to hallmark this, he's exceeded the value in it just from the fact that it's got a hallmark on. Simple, easy. But I get it, it's a pain in the backside. But from your perspective, another thing here is if you don't have a Sigma and you don't have a couple of £1,000 to drop on buying a Sigma, a hallmark is a great way to know that what you're buying is genuine. So what I'd say is to any of the people out there that are fans of hallmarks or fans of poured silver, do this. Ask if it's hallmarked. It's your guarantee. Get things hallmarked because you'll find that it's a much better process. It really is. So fakes are out there, be very careful. If you are interested in these Sigmas, make sure to go and check out the link in the description box below to Trusty Metrics' website, where you can find all of the information about these products. You can get in touch with them. There is a code, I think it's BYB Cool still, which gets you the best price on offer. So definitely worth doing, but be aware there are lead times right now because of course the precious metal world has gone parabolically mad. And so they really do, they're under stress and pressure basically. So just be warned of that. So thank you all for watching. We'll see you on the next video. For the cool kids, let's go for Trusty Metrics Sigma Metalytics. That's your code. Thanks all for watching. We'll see you on the next video. As always, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.